Daniel was sitting at his kitchen table on a Monday morning in Austin, Texas, with a cup of coffee going cold beside him. He had just opened an email from HR. 5 years at the same mid-sized tech company. 5 years of good reviews, delivered projects, early mornings, and late Slack messages. The email said he was getting a 3% raise. He read it twice. Then he closed his laptop and told himself that was fair. 20 minutes later, he opened LinkedIn. His former colleague, the one who had quit 2 years ago, the one everyone quietly said was making a mistake, had just posted a career update. New role, new title, and a salary $28,000 higher than what Daniel would make this year, even after the raise. Daniel sat there for a long moment. The coffee was cold. The email was still open in another tab. He was not angry exactly. He was something quieter than that. Something that felt a lot like the beginning of understanding. Daniel did not get a raise. He got a number designed to keep him exactly where he was. My name is Mike, and I spend a lot of time thinking about why hardworking, capable people keep falling behind financially. Not because they made bad decisions, but because the system they trusted was never designed to move them forward. If you have ever gotten a raise, read the number, and still felt somehow like you lost ground, make sure you stick around, because what I'm about to show you is not a motivational theory. It is a measurable, documented pattern built into how American companies manage compensation. Our parents were told that loyalty was the path. You stayed, you kept your head down, you got the gold watch at 30 years. That was the deal. That deal is gone, and in its place, something else was built. Something that looks like reward, but functions like a trap. I call it the loyalty tax. It is real, it is quantifiable, and almost no one inside the system will ever sit across from you and explain how it works. But that changes right now. Here is the first mechanism behind the loyalty tax, and it has nothing to do with your performance. You think your annual raise is a reward. You did good work, you hit your goals, you showed up every quarter for your performance review cycle, and the company responded. 3%, maybe 4%. That feels like recognition. It is not recognition. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Employee Tenure Summary, the median tenure for American workers is 4.1 years. That number has stayed relatively flat for years, which means millions of people are doing exactly what Daniel did, staying, delivering, waiting for the system to reward them, while the external market moves at a completely different speed. Here is what the ADP Research Institute found when they tracked wage growth between workers who stayed at the same employer versus workers who changed jobs. Job switchers saw wage growth of 10.2%, while job stayers saw wage growth of 5.2%. That gap is not a rounding error. That is a structural penalty for staying. You think the labor market works like a performance review. You think it tracks your contributions and adjusts your compensation accordingly. It does not. The labor market reprices talent every time someone changes jobs. It reprices it every time a company posts a new role and has to compete to fill it. In tech, in finance, in healthcare, the same skills that your current employer pays you $115,000 to perform are being advertised externally at $138,000 right now on job boards your manager hopes you never look at. Your raise was not calculated based on what you are worth. It was calculated based on what it costs to keep you from leaving. That is a different number entirely. Your company is not rewarding your loyalty. It is pricing it. Now, you might be thinking, my company is different. My manager actually cares about me. And I'm not going to tell you that's false. Your manager probably does care about you. That is genuinely not the problem. The problem is that your manager does not set your salary. The compensation system does. And the compensation system was not built around what you deserve. It was built around what it costs to keep you from leaving. Every large company in America operates with something called a retention budget. It sits inside a broader document called a compensation philosophy, and it contains a number that HR has calculated: the minimum raise required to keep the majority of employees from actively looking elsewhere. That number is not derived from your performance rating. It is derived from something called an acceptable attrition rate, the percentage of people the company is financially comfortable losing each year, somewhere between 5 and 10%, depending on the industry. Everyone above that threshold, they get enough to stay, not enough to thrive. There is also a replacement cost calculation. If you leave, your employer will spend somewhere between 50 and 200% of your annual salary to recruit, hire, and train your replacement, depending on the role. Which means the cheapest possible outcome for your company is to give you just enough of a raise that you do not leave, and not $1 more. The salary band you sit inside was not designed to reflect your market value. It was designed to protect the company's margin. A Pew Research Center survey published in 2022 found that among workers who quit their jobs in 2021, the majority cited low pay and no opportunities for advancement as primary reasons. Not bad managers, not toxic culture, low pay and no advancement. That is not individual dissatisfaction. That is the loyalty tax, expressed at scale by millions of people who finally did the math. But that is only the beginning of what staying is actually costing you. Let me show you the lifetime math of the loyalty tax, because this is where the numbers stop being abstract. Take two people with identical starting points, same role, same city, same $75,000 salary on day one. Daniel A. stays. He receives a 3% merit increase every year, which his company tells him is a strong performance rating. He does not negotiate. He does not look externally. He trusts the process. Daniel B. moves. Every 2 to 3 years, he accepts an outside offer. Each time he switches, his salary increases by 10.2%, the documented wage growth rate for job switchers tracked by the ADP Research Institute. Daniel A.'s internal raise rate over the same period sits at 5.2%. After 10 years, Daniel A. earns approximately $100,794. Daniel B. earns approximately $198,110. The gap in total cumulative earnings over that decade is approximately $395,000. But the real number is not the salary gap. It is what that difference could have become. If Daniel B. had invested the annual surplus into a broad index fund at an 8% average annual return over 30 working years, that compounding gap grows to approximately $2,100,000. That is not a rounding error. That is not a best-case scenario. That is the documented mathematical cost of staying still in a market that never stops moving. That is the loyalty tax. Paid in silence, every single year. The math does not care about your loyalty. Neither does the market. Daniel is not a bad employee. He is not lazy. He is not ungrateful. He showed up every day for 5 years and did exactly what the system asked of him. That is the problem. Your company does not see you as a loyal employee. It sees you as a predictable cost it has learned to manage cheaply. And the raise it gives you every year is not a reward for your dedication. It is the minimum investment required to keep that cost exactly where it is. Knowing that is not cynicism. It is the first step to actually being paid what you are worth. Somewhere today, Daniel closed his laptop, but this time, when he opened LinkedIn, he was not scrolling. He was searching. Learn the market. Know your number. Move when it matters. If this changed how you see your next performance review, hit like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.